Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River, it's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. I am Phil Brilliant, substituting for Jeremy today and throughout the week. And happy to be here at 6:09, give or take 3 minutes on the Radio Pup app this morning. It is about 45 degrees outside, a little chilly, and a high of 71 today. And as I've been saying, today is the day to get out, get up, and do something, because the rest of the week it looks like it might be a little rainy, cloudy, and somewhat miserable. But it is a bright morning because I have in the studio my first guest, Doherty, who is the executive director of the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Phil. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm glad you could be here so early in the morning. I'm sure you're wide awake and raring to go.
Oh, this is a normal hour for me.
A normal hour. Yeah, I know. We were talking off the radio. You're like, normal hour because your kids wake you up every other hour, so it's good to go.
It happens.
Yeah, but it's always good to have a smiley face here in this morning, and but to talk about a very serious topic, teen suicide. And as I said to you when you came in, I was not familiar with the organization. I've done a little bit of reading about it. But before we get into the organization, let's talk a little about you, because as I said, and you started laughing at me, that this was when you were that. I'm going to be stereotypical. You ready? That you were playing with Barbies back, when you were 8 years old, and you decided that you wanted to be the executive director of this organization. I'm kind of feeling that wasn't your decision.
It was not. And actually, when I was 8 years old, this organization was not in existence. The organization was founded in 2005. And if you would have asked me back then, I thought I was going to be a bigwig on Wall Street, and life just takes you in different directions. And, fortunately for myself, I did get this opportunity back about 4 years ago to join this organization, which is so very much needed in society today. The organization came about. There were two fathers who were
individual, $20 for a family.
Yeah.
So I listen, I'm going to have to man up and buy
really was not
membership. What do you think? Are you in?
Yeah.
Now, do you guys go running? Zach lives you live in Egg Harbor, right?
Yes, Little Egg Harbor.
Yeah, Little Egg Harbor. So are you down? Are you down in or is it scary to run down there?
No. It's great. Run with all the deer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Do you do that? I mean, what are your favorite places to run?
Island Heights.
Island Heights?
Yeah, we've got the hills. You got a little bit of everything. You got the wind against you on one of the directions along the boardwalk. But the hills are a great workout.
Yeah.
So
I've done that River to Bay 5K.
Yes, it's coming up.
Yes.
May 7th.
I know,
there you go, Zach.
Because I'm a member of the Kiwanis Club.
Oh,
and so
yes.
I did, and so my wife actually, just like you, Sandy, she got into running probably about 3 years ago now, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And so she runs, she'll run 6, 7, 8, 10 miles. Building herself up, and although now I'm not going to lie, she's struggling a little bit with the knees.
Okay, we'll have
already.
To give her some help.
Right, and so she, we do the whole family the 5K, and I have one of my children actually, hangs back with me because we
support each other, right?
Right.
There you go.
Right. I'm real excited if I'm like under an hour. I'm like, yes, I did it. 58 minutes. Sweet.
We're gonna work on you.
No, I don't think you are. So when we come back, right? I know there's a ton of events coming up, right? Which I wanna know about because this is exciting to me, and I want to know when my wife is going to be putting pressure on me that we need to do this. I want to learn more. So we'll talk about some events and other things coming up here with Pat and Sandy from the Ocean Running Club. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Make a difference at the Jersey Shore. 732-505-1160. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We're here with Pat Hancock and Sandy Rinderer from the Ocean Running Club talking about, running. I mean, what'd you think we were going to talk? We were going to talk about, like parcheesi or crochet. That's maybe another time. All right, so there's so many things. I am now on your website, oceanrunningclub.org. Right, and the number of events, a lot of stuff going on. All right, so talk to me about summer series. What's summer series all about?
Oh, the summer series. Actually, it started in the 80s, and it's been going stronger and stronger every year. It starts on Tuesday nights, Winding River Park. Show up at 6 o'clock because everything starts right after that. We have a half-mile kids run, followed by a mile kids run, followed by a 5K run-walk. Whatever you want to do, we're there. And it's so much fun. The kids and the grown-ups, they get watermelon afterwards and ice pops, and we have awards. So it's Tuesday nights. It's a 4-week program, and it's all volunteer for us, and it's so much fun. It's great to see everybody come out on Tuesday nights at Winding River Park.
So just to review, though, I have to run to get the popsicles?
Yes, you do. Yes, I do believe that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I was just trying to figure it out. My friend, you guys know Brian Hanlon?
Oh,
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So
He's a club member.
Yeah, is he?
Yes.
Okay, so Brian and I are going to the Final Four this weekend, right? In Houston, and Brian at the last River to Bay 5K, Brian had just kind of he had been in the hospital for a little
Yes.
while.
Yeah.
And so the River to Bay 5K last year was his first event out, and he said to me, Jeremy,
My child. So there has to be a basis on how to be able to talk to those parents and to have them listen to you.
Absolutely. And on our website, sptsusa.org, there is a lot of information around talking to your kids about suicide, some tips and pointers. Again, that parent video that we mentioned is on the website as well. It's 17 minutes long and really helps a parent know how to be an advocate for their child, but really to just recognize that it may happen and it's a very realistic possibility. And we encourage parents to be prepared. And, for the parents of kids who play sports, they very well know the orthopedist in the area. And if there is an injury, they'll go get their kids help. And mental health issues really aren't that much different. And so to be aware of the resources, whether it is your school guidance counselor, psychologist, or therapist in the area, or just the helplines that are available is really, really important.
Okay. And as far as the organization itself, you are getting out to the community, you're going out to the parents as well as the teens and the schools.
That is correct. We have a competent community model that we use, and it is evidence-based and best practice. And so we do start with the school community because it is a very important foundation of the towns and the cities. And we say that the teacher's role is critical but limited. And so it's important for them to be able to know the warning signs and recognize the signs and just refer a child that may be at risk to the trained professional.
Okay. I am talking to Dawn Doherty, the Executive Director of the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. When we come back after this break, I want to talk about how people contact you and who really comes out and contacts you. We'll be back in a moment.
Wake up with Jeremy Grunin wherever you go. Download the Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Good morning. Welcome back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. It is 6:21 on Monday morning, September 26th, and we are continuing our conversation with Dawn Doherty, the Executive Director of the Society of Prevention of Teen Suicide. And we went to break. We wanted to talk about the fact of who contacts you, how people contact you, and what your reach is.
Sure. We are a local organization that has national exposure thanks to, as we had mentioned before, New Jersey was the first state in the country. Once that was accomplished, there were other states who had been trying to have legislation similarly passed, and so they reached to the founders of the organization to see how they could do that. We also had one of the leading experts in suicide prevention as our clinical director. And so she helped inform a lot of our programming, one of which was the competent community model that I spoke of earlier with regards to school-based prevention. And so we responded to requests across the country to train that in different school communities, very effectively so, as well as a few communities locally. And so we are on the web, again, sbtsusa.org, and that is most often how people find us. And we do have information and resources for parents, for educators, and for teens. We are not a crisis line. We're not a counseling center, but we do have a lot of information that is very valuable.
Yeah, so in the break, we were throwing some numbers around and statistics, which kind of blew my mind a little. So as we have our listeners here, so what are we talking about numbers per year on teen suicide?
Sure. Across the country, we are losing over 5,400 adolescents aged 10 to 24 to suicide. And in New Jersey alone, it's over 70 per year. And suicide is the second leading cause of death for adolescents 15 to 24. So it really is so important for parents to have it on their radar.
And again, as we talked about, it is something that is preventable. It is something that really comes to the awareness and the early signs. And in looking at your website, there's a lot of educational material just right there on the early signs. So how do you handle, people come to not just for the educational aspects, but they're coming to you and they're looking for help?
Sure. The ones that are looking for help, we do have a clinical director on staff. So if it is something with regards to information, we're happy to advise. But really, our suggestion is to utilize the helplines that are out there. There's a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline that can be accessed. It's 1-800-273-8255. There is locally the Second Floor Youth Helpline. And people don't realize that that's out there. It's in Monmouth County, but answers calls and texts across the state and really focuses on adolescents. And only about 10% of those calls are kids in crisis. But it's really important to let your kids know that these resources are available and that they can call. They get homework questions. They get questions about friends and teachers, different things like that. So just, again, opening up that conversation and letting adults know it's okay to talk about it and ask for help if you need it.
That's amazing. And I think, again, the biggest part is the conversation.
Yes.
And we always talk about the fact that the teenagers and, having had 3 teenage girls and still 1 teenage girl, to have them open up to their parents, I think is unfortunately less likely than opening up to friends. So I think it's also about educating the teens because they need to be able to open up on behalf of their friends.
It absolutely is. And we have recognized that, and youth are really one of our most valuable resources. And so last year we started our youth council. And so we opened up invitations to the high school students, private and public high schools in Monmouth and Ocean County to join our youth council. So we currently have about 66 students representing 22 schools in the 2 counties, and they meet on a regular basis to educate themselves on the warning signs and the resources, but we also really work with them to... So
I'm going to cut you off right there because when we come back after the news, I want to talk more about the youth council, how youth get involved in it, and where they meet and what may happen. We'll be back after the news.
The news never stops at WOBMAM.com. Get the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. It is 6:35, give or take 3 minutes on your Radio Pup app this morning. And I'm Phil Brilliant, substituting for Jeremy. And we are continuing our conversation with Dawn Doherty, the executive director of the Society for the Prevention of Teen Suicide. And when we went to the news break abruptly, because I wasn't paying attention. No, I didn't want to cut off Dawn. We were talking about the youth council that was just started.
We were. And so again, the Youth Council the invitation is open each spring to high school students in Monmouth and Ocean counties right now. And this year we are proud to have 66 students representing 22 schools in the 2 counties. And we have a lot of the vocational schools as well as the public schools and private schools. And the kids meet on a monthly basis to educate themselves on the warning signs of suicide, the resources available. But we also really try to increase their knowledge and awareness of resiliency, coping skills, stress management, and the importance of help-seeking behaviors and identifying trusted adults in their lives. And Phil, you mentioned earlier, it's not always the parents, but it might be a favorite teacher or a coach or the bus driver. And so it's really important for us to make sure that these kids are looking to people for help, but also so that they know if a friend is in need, that they go to that trusted adult for help. And then on the flip side, we work with the schools to make sure that the trusted adults are trained in the appropriate way to respond to somebody in need.
Right. Yeah, which is all important. And I mean, you're touching the community here. You're touching the community at large. We talked about the fact that people across the country, and off the air, we talked about the fact that Australia and Canada were the 2.
Ireland,
Yeah.
they are all finding us on Facebook. And so our Facebook handle is SPTS USA. We are also on Twitter. And again, for anyone who may have missed, our website is sptsusa.org.
And you're a totally private funded organization.
We are. Fortunately, we have a very successful golf outing that happens every June at Eagle Oaks Country Club in Farmingdale.
Mm-hmm.
We just recently had our fall event, which is a wine tasting. And we use these events to certainly generate funds, but also to increase the awareness and expand our donor base and our support base and also the reach. Some of our biggest donors have encouraged their kids to join our youth council, which is really wonderful. And we are also very fortunate to be in an area that we have very generous private and corporate foundations. A lot of the banks are supportive of our efforts. Investors Bank has funded our youth summit the past 2 years. Ocean First Foundation has provided funding for us to do some of this training within the schools in Monmouth and Ocean County. And Manasquan Bank Charitable Foundation just did provide us with funding that we are using to do community training called Mental Health First Aid.
Yeah, but organizations can always use more money.
Absolutely.
And I do notice on the website on the far right there is a green button that says donate. So anybody, I think who is touched by this topic can come to the website and make a donation at any given time.
Absolutely, and we very much appreciate that.
So that is a great opportunity, a great lead-in to the fact that we are going to give you, and you looked a little scared when I prepped you for this, the Jeremy Grunin Magic Wand. And by the way, many people have been scared when the Jeremy Grunin Magic Wand has been thrown their way. But this is the opportunity to change your sector, change the world. We sprinkle the fairy dust all over you. And, what would you do with unlimited resources and the ability to make that change?
And it is a little scary to think about, but we often say we'd love to be out of business. And one of the most important ways that could happen is to integrate this very important education into schools, introduce it to the student curriculum, which our Lifelines program does do, but also, again, make the parents aware, make the teachers more aware, the coaches, anybody in the community, the key stakeholders. Let them know the warning signs of suicide. Let them know they can help. Let the kids know there is help out there. And we have been getting a lot of requests from elementary schools, K through 8 districts, to do training on preventative efforts, which would be so important.
Yeah, and it's really, I think here it's knowledge equals prevention.
Knowledge equals power, knowledge equals prevention. And so to be able to do that on a local and national, worldwide basis would be absolutely amazing.
And September is
Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
Did you like that lead in?
I did. Thank you very much. And it's really important, again, in September to highlight it, but suicide is a very real issue. And so you really should be making yourself aware of the resources out there, the information, 365 days a year.
Yeah. So we only have less than a minute left, but I do have one lingering question in my head. We always talk about suicide around the holidays, but I think when we talk about suicide, we're talking about 12 months a year.
That is true. And very honestly, that is another common myth, that it is more increased around the suicide because people are more connected around the holidays. And so, again, just increasing those protective factors and education is so important.
But teens' pressures are so different than adult pressures.
They are, especially this day and age.
So, Dawn, how do people contact you? Let's get out all the information one more time. Your Twitter, Tumblr, everything you have going on social media. Let's get it out there to everybody.
Sure. They could find us SPTS USA on Facebook and Twitter. Website, www.sptsusa.org. Email is info@sptsusa.org. And we would be happy to hear from you.
Okay, Dawn, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Go home to your family and get those kids up, and we'll be back in a moment.